Bad news, everyone. I got to thinking. It's not good when I go to thinking, guys. It's bad stuff creeps in and I start getting out there into all kinds of different things. But it got me wondering. It got me wondering about some things. And I've actually heard some stuff about this before. You kind of hear, let's see, it's a nice skeeter right there. It's one of the prettiest skeeters I've ever seen. You hear a lot of different things, right? From people, you know, the argument, right? Who's the GOAT? Who's the best? We always have to hear it about Michael Jordan and now LeBron James, which, listen, old school guys, we all know. You know, we heard about quarterbacks and all these different things. And I'm not going to get into the issue about who's the best fisherman of all time. That's not what this is about. But it does bring up something in the category of the best fisherman technique-wise. Now, you might be surprised what I have to say about who I think some of the best guys are in individualized techniques. And I bring that up for one reason only. Like, there's something to think about, right? Because in tournament fishing, let's back up a little bit. There's only real one way to judge, in my opinion, who's the best fisherman. And it comes from tournament fishermen, right? Yeah, you have to put up a playing field, who everyone's playing on the same playing field. You can't say, oh, this guy's caught, you know, 110 pounders and it makes him good. Well, he lives on the lake. Let's just bring up Ivy right now. Nothing against anything about what anyone's doing at OH Ivy, but it's a lot easier to catch a 10 pounder when you go to OH Ivy than it is, I don't know, Lake Livingston, where a 10 pounder probably doesn't exist, for one, and there's probably been one weighed in the last 20 years, maybe 30, who knows. How to put it on a level playing field. I hope everyone would agree that tournament fishing does that. And if not, I don't know what to say. So, just like I'm not going to sit there and say, hey, that guy that plays pickup basketball is better than all the NBA guys, right? It's not going to make that argument. What I'll bring up, though, is specific techniques, okay? And it kind of got me thinking about them sight fishing on Santee, the Bobby Lane flipping docks at Grand Lake. And it's specific techniques, like who's the best. And does it necessarily mean that the best is going to come from professionals, like from guys who fish major tours? That's where I might argue with you. I don't necessarily say that the best fishermen in specific techniques will. And here's my argument as to why. They could be, but hear me out. So, I've always kind of considered myself pretty good at certain things. When I was pretty young, I was really good at flipping boat docks because I lived on a boat dock way. Started fishing Rayburn, you know, a little bit after college, and I don't have no boat dock. I actually stopped fishing boat docks for years to a degree, right, where I didn't have to fish them every day. And I started getting good at certain little things. One of them was frog fishing. Got pretty good at frog fishing. Sight fishing was a thing that I actually did on Livingston. I did in ponds, and I got really good because a lot of the lakes around here, you can sight fish pretty good at. The other thing about where I live is it's not like Florida, but I'd say it's close. Our year of sight fishing lasts longer, right? So I get to do it a longer period of time, which, hear me out, makes a difference. So I bring all this up because most of the time, the guys that are really good at a specific technique get to do it a lot. You get really good at it. Now, from there, how do we judge who's the best, right? Because we would only go based on tournaments. But that's like who's the best fisherman. Technique-wise, I'm gonna argue a little bit sometimes for the guys that might. All right, now I just got home, had to take a phone call. So I'll end up doing it right here because it just might be a little too windy outside. So the argument is this. can a guy, just a regular old guy, be better technique-wise than some of these professionals, right? And I believe yes. Here's why. Hear me out. When I went and fished the tour, like, I thought I was a pretty good sight fisherman, and I still think I am. And I won a lot of tournament sight fishing, like a bunch. You know, back home, on Conroe, on Rayburn, Toledo, like all these places. And then I did translate that to doing good in BFLs, Toyota events I've won. Even events I didn't win, but still made like a top 10. And hear me out on that. Just because you win an event on a certain technique doesn't mean you're the best. I consider some of those guys, here's how I consider it. When an event comes up, like say a frogging event comes up, or a guy throwing a jerkbait, right? Say you're a phenomenal jerkbait fisherman. You might not win the event. And another guy might beat you jerkbaiting, right? But you made a top 10, right? And I'm talking about a big event, right? Like a big kind of, whether it be 300 boats in it, or, you know, a Toyota event or an open. And every time an open or one of those things comes along, you're in it and it's a jerkbait deal. Like that's the main pattern, right? You're in the top 10. Don't necessarily have to win it. It's hard to win events, but you're in there, right? And you're always in there. And that's kind of how it was for me sight fishing. Like I was always in there. I mean, you know, I led Grand the first time I'd ever been to Grand sight fishing. You know, I've won a couple of Toyotas doing it. I made a lot of top 5s doing it. So that's kind of my deal. And we've won a lot of just team tournament stuff, lots. But we were always up there. Even this last event, we were up there sight fishing. So that's kind of my barometer, right? Well, then I went to the tour. And when I fished the tour for a couple of years, I realized something. I didn't get to sight fish that much. Not only did I not get to sight fish that much on tour, I did a little bit, but while I was on tour, I never got to practice sight fishing. Before I fished the tour, if there were days I got to go practice sight fishing. I got to go out there and sight fish when I wanted to and practice and learn and refine my technique and just get better and better and better. I didn't get to do that for a couple years on tour. And if you watch guys on tour, they are going to lakes all the time, different lakes, they can't do what they want to do all the time. So you got a guy who's like a phenomenal jerkbait fisherman, go somewhere where they really don't need a jerkbait, or it's not the deal, they don't get to practice it that much. You get a guy who's on a lake that's like, it's the jerkbait lake, right? And they catch them, say 6 months out of the year on a jerkbait. It's hard for me to say that guy's probably not a better jerkbait fisherman. And I'm not saying just because he's lived there. Now hear me out. Just because you live on a jerkbait lake and you do it a lot doesn't mean you're better. I'm talking about the select few guys. You know who they are regionally around the country, right? I guarantee I could go to Arkansas, and there's guys from Arkansas that can name me 3 or 4 guys, not a jerkbait, that would probably tell me, hey, these guys are good at this. Maybe Missouri, where I'd go to hear about the jerkbait stuff, right? Go to Kentucky lakes and those places, you're going to hear the best deep water crank fishermen or ledge fishermen. Go around the country, and there's certain places in the country. Go down to Florida, go find who one of the best, you know, flippers is, right? Like heavy matted flipping stuff. You're probably going to find that guy in Florida. You just are. That guy's probably doing it 9 months out of the year down there, and the knowledge that guy is going to know and learns over that time period, it's hard to overcome that for other guys. Now, the tweak in my argument is this. Although I might be decent at sight fishing, and I fit a little bit different category, but when I bring up Arkansas, or I bring up Missouri or Florida, can the guy from Florida travel across the country and go catch them in California? Now that's where those pros are good, right? The guys that fish all around the country. The argument might be for them is, all right, maybe I'm not technically as good as you, but I can do that across multiple lakes across the country. I can sight fish over here. I can sight fish over there. I can sight fish under different conditions. Because sight fishing, to me, And there's a whole big sight fishing deal that I'd get into in a video. But everyone always talks to me, oh, I can catch fish off beds. That to me is so the smallest part of sometimes catching fish off beds and sight fishing. Knowing where to go, how to look for them, understanding the spawn, understanding going to a lake you've never been on and understanding where to go. Because, man, I'm telling you, across the country, they spawn really different. Like, they spawn in different places on the lake. Some places it's back in canals, sometimes it's main lake. I mean, it's a big deal. And understanding that is a big deal, okay? Just like jerk baiting around in Missouri is gonna be totally different than Texas. It's gonna be totally different in Alabama. I mean, so you've got to be able to translate your technique across the country. I get all that, but I still think there's some guys that are really, really good, like really good, and are better only because of the amount of time they get to do it. Because those other guys, man, they're traveling, and it's just hard for them. I promise you, it is hard for them to refine their technique and get even better at it. I've seen it. I've done it. You get better across overall, but there's still, like, you miss a little bit sometimes of doing it every day, man. You like staying on top of it, whether it be new jerk baits or new ways of learning about the jerk bait, and all kinds of different things. Like, new jerk baits come out, they go deeper, shallower, all that stuff. I don't know. It's something I like to hear y'all's thoughts, because it's one of the few times that I think the regular old guy might be better, might be better than those other guys. Now, overall, no, you're never gonna win that argument, man. Those guys, there's not all of them. Don't get me wrong, not all of them. I'm saying the best of the best, those guys, the only way to judge yourself is to get up there and fish with them. So I have to give it to some of them. They are better. But technique-wise, and I don't know if we'll ever find that argument. I can tell you one thing. So around here, and it made me think, like, who's someone that I could pick that I would say, he's probably better at that than anyone else in the country? And it made me think. It made me think of one person individually. Flipping grass. Flipping grass is a big deal in Texas. Now, not around the country, right? There's not grass everywhere. You got grass here. You got grass in Florida and California, and you know, you can get some grass up there and in some other places, right? Even way up north, you get some grass. But there's one place and one guy I know that, for whatever reason, he got to do it a lot, and he's really good at it. His name's Tim Renau. And I'm not talking about flipping grass in 2 foot of water, which he can do, but flipping deep grass. I don't think there's anyone better. And his record shows it. His record, I mean, when a grass flipping event comes up, and this is on multiple lakes, when he wins, sometimes he wins by so much it's crazy, right? Like, everyone might have 40 pounds over 2 days, right? 2-day tournament, 40 pounds, and he'll weigh in like 53. And you're like, well, wait a minute, 40 was second and he had 53? Yeah, like, he'll beat people by 10, 12, 15 pounds in a 2-day event. So I've seen that. Not only that, I've seen him travel around and fish the opens and Toyotas, and I've seen him go off to different states. And like I said, it's not necessarily that he won the event, but he'll make a top 10. And I'm going, what was he doing? And talk to him, flipping grass. No one in the top 10 was flipping grass. No one. And he caught him. He didn't win. Don't have to win. But he caught him flipping grass. Like, he made that work. And that's what's happened to me a little bit of times on sight fishing. I'll make a top 10, and I'll be the only guy in there sight fishing. In the top 10, they're like, that was a deal. And I'm like, well, I made it a deal. And I'm not comparing myself to Renau. Like I said, I just think that, like I said, there's certain things that makes those guys really, really good. And I know Renau, I would like to hear anyone argue that Renau's not maybe the best grass fisherman in the country. And I'm sure maybe a lot of guys, y'all don't know about him. He also helped develop power tackle rods. He's also helped develop jigs and stuff for flipping. So yeah, I mean, the guy's really smart, and I've got to talk to him a little bit. I try not to ask those guys too many questions about flipping grass, but I knew his fishing partner, Phil Marks, obviously, and there's some stuff that they knew and did that was next level. It just was. So, I don't know. I'd like to hear y'all's thoughts. Just something I thought about on my drive home. And like I said, I got to turn the radio back on. I got to, because if I get into all this thinking stuff, my head's gonna explode. I get off into all these different thoughts and stuff. All right, I got to get back at it. I got to get in the house. I got work to do. See y'all guys.